Hi, my name is Pete Stant, and today I'm going to replace the discs and the pads on this one of our company cars. We've got an anti-rattle spring here which I'm going to remove. Now these anti-rattle springs, they should just pull out, but you can guarantee their one purpose in life is to hit you in the face when they spring out. That's why I'm wearing safety glasses. Remove the two dust caps. These are quite tight. These are the slide pins for the caliper. I've removed the pins, so now I can actually pull this whole unit out of the way, hopefully. I've got a little hook here. Then I'm going to hook that on there so that the weight of the caliper isn't dangling on the flexi hose. Next thing I've got to do, I've got to remove the two bolts that hold the caliper mounting on. So these are tight, and I resort to a little bit of tool abuse. Now that's that out of the way. The disc is actually loose on the hub, and that's because over the last week I've actually been soaking that in release oil around this edge here, because it can be very, very tight on there, but because of what I've already done, I can actually just pull that out of the way, and that's the old disc removed. It's just a bit of a degreaser I'm putting on there, so it's important that this face is clean, because it will affect where the disc sits. If there's something trapped between the disc and the hub, the disc won't run true, and you can end up with the disc going like that as it's rotating, and you'll feel that through the pedal. The discs come with an oily coating on, which I need to get rid of, because that'll contaminate the pads. So I can now pop that on. What I'll do, just to support it while I'm working on the rest of the brakes, I'll just put a couple of nuts back on just to hold it steady. We'll refit the caliper. I also just a quick spin just to make sure that there's no obvious wobble. I'm listening to the bearing as well at the same time, because there's no point in doing all this work and then finding out that there's a noisy bearing. That's fine. I've now got to put the caliper mounting back on. I'm just going to put a little bit of anti-seize compound on these before I put them back in. These have got to be tightened. They need to be tightened to, in this case, a specific torque. And usually anything with brakes, you set it to what you might call FT, fairly tight. But I do actually have a torque setting for these, so we'll do it properly. Right, so that's tight. That's on. Because I need to move the piston in the caliper back into its housing, that will displace brake fluid back into the reservoir, so I need to just make sure there's enough space in the reservoir to take the fluid that I'm going to be pushing back in there. I'm just checking that the dust boot on the piston is in good condition, which it is. Because the brake pads have worn, the piston will have moved forward a little bit to take up the difference. So I've got to push the piston back. Now, depending on the model of the car, sometimes you can just push it straight back in, it's not a problem. Others that have a more sensitive ABS system, you may need to just vent fluid out of the caliper rather than push it back into the system. Something you need to look in the handbook to double check on that. But in this case, I can just, using a clamp, I can just push the piston back a little bit. Haven't got to go far, and that's all the way back home, so that wasn't a lot, but that's enough to allow me to fit the new pads. Next stage is to physically refit the new pads. Little tiny bit of anti-seize grease, which I'm going to put top and bottom just where it makes contact with the slider. These are good quality standard pads. With brake pads, you get what you pay for. It's as simple as that. These ones are very good quality. Just made sure that they're free in the housing. So this one, because it's got a spring on it, it has to be pushed into the piston like that, and then hopefully that should all slide together, and that's the caliper back together. What I've got to do now is reconnect the sliders. The whole caliper slides backwards and forwards as the brake pads wear, and they slide on these pins, so they need to be in good condition, because obviously that sliding action is important. The all important dust caps, they just pop on. One there, one there. Quite often forgotten, but really important. Now I've got to refit the spring that just wants to fly into your face. Pull it round and it should pop in, little tap. Okay, so that's it, it's all back together. I'm ready to put the wheel on now, but remember that you need to do both sides. You wouldn't just do one disc or one set of pads, so you make sure you do an axle set. If you found the video interesting, subscribe to our YouTube channel and have a look at us on social media. Thanks for watching.